Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lilkatz. Welcome to Communications from Home, which is my Tuesday evening weekly live stream show here on Star Nations and on Facebook. And we're also simulcasting over to YouTube. And so tonight's Tuesday, April 6th, if you didn't know that already. Hang on, I got to do one little thing here because here we go. Got to get the little thing up on the screen. There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad you could join me this evening. I don't know about you, but where I live in Toma, Wisconsin, which is in the northwestern part of the state, it was a gorgeous, gorgeous day out, warm. And this is the fourth day of warm, sunny weather. And so Paul and I have been out doing yard work because it's springtime, right? You got to do that stuff. So anyway, I'm so glad you guys could take the time to join me this evening because this is another episode, we'll call it that, of this series about the calibration journey. And tonight is all about meditation. I know the word meditation either conjures up angst or it's like, oh, I really love to meditate. And so tonight is all about that and how meditation in its many forms can help us as we go through our calibration or recalibration of our lives. Some of you may know that Paul and I have been through some major changes in our personal life, and which some people say, you're starting a brand new chapter. And it's like, yeah, but actually it's more like a brand new book because that's how big the changes were. And so I thought, why not share that journey with all of you? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one experiencing this kind of reimagining. Some people call it reinventing. My spiritual team was calling it recalibrating your life. And so I can't wait to share this piece with you and to also see what you guys are up to. Because, one of the things I know for sure is that when we share our personal experiences, we learn from each other. So if you have any tips that work for you in meditation or with meditation, please go ahead and share it. And I'll read it up on the screen and we can learn from each other. Because let's face it, meditation takes some self-discipline, right? When you first set out consciously on your path, your spiritual path, our whole life is spiritual. When we're consciously aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it, meditation, we learn about it sometimes at a young age and sometimes when we're older, right? And the meditation comes in many forms that we might not even would have considered being a meditative state. All right, because sometimes I think when we think of a stereotype of meditation, right, and that is being able to sit in the lotus position, with some sort of hand mudra, and sitting in meditation for maybe hours at a time. That can be true. That's kind of on the really far end of the continuum of meditation, and everything from taking a walk out in the park or out in the woods. Okay. So what is your form of meditation and how has it been helping you in your reimagining yourself or your recalibration of your life? I'll share with you my experiences and how we can use the tool we call meditation to be able to get clarity in decisions that we're going to be making or that we have made. Perhaps it has more to do with being quiet for a while, just quieting and stillness of the mind, right? Yeah, that's the hard one. I mean, for how many times people have asked me or told me that they don't meditate, they can't meditate, they've tried to meditate, and they just can't turn off their mind, their thoughts. And so they just kind of give up, right? Because I think that they're looking at some sort of perfect form of meditation. And I'm here to tell you that Meditation can take many, many forms. It can be very, very traditional meditation, all the way to a very kind of self-described meditation. So I'm going to say hi to a few people in the chat here. Look who's here. Julie's here. Hey, Julie. Good to have you in the house, lady. Always good to see you. One of these days, we're going to need a telephone call to get caught up too. And look, Rochelle's here too. And Deb is listening in as well. Thank you, ladies, for being here this evening with me. I do appreciate it. Those two best friends, they do road trips together too. I love hearing about them. Karen's here too. Hey, Karen. Karen and I had a really good conversation earlier this week. Was it this week? Or was it last week? Yeah, it was Monday. Time does fly though, doesn't it? Good, always good to have Karen in the house. And look who else is here. Rob's here too. Greetings from YouTube land. You forget the land part. Hi, Rob. It's good to have you in the house. And Tabitha's here too. Hey, right back at you. So here's the question for you guys. Number one, do you have a regular time or a regular form of some sort of meditation? In other words, maybe some people actually have it on their calendar. Or is it, that certain time of day or certain time of week that you do some sort of inner reflection, inner quiet time? Okay. That's a good question, because sometimes we don't do that. Wait, I got to check something. I meant to do this earlier. And okay, good. I was just double checking to make sure that we were actually live streaming. All right. So the form of meditation. Honestly, in my world, the form isn't necessarily the most important part of meditation. For me, getting quiet is the most important part of meditation. So for some people, movement would be good, because it's hard for them to sit still. And so when you're first starting out, maybe it is going for a walk, or for some people, even going for a run, because we're giving our mental mind and our body something to do. And so that part of us, that emotional and spiritual part of us, can actually be busy with spirit. So that because our mental mind and our physical body is doing something. For some people, and I've done this, I was actually instructed years ago by my team to give this a try, and that was knitting. Now, it's for me, knitting, I don't necessarily make anything. Okay. I do knit rectangles, 7x9 rectangles, and with baby yarn. That's really soft kind of yarn, right? And when I finish up a box of them, I ship them off to a place that somebody else will stitch them together into a different size blankets, and those are donated then to souls out there that need a blanket. And so in the process of knitting or even crocheting is that we have that repetition, and through that repetition of our hands, our mental mind has something to do, and so it goes quiet. And so that part of us that is reaching out for spirit, reaching out for our spiritual teams, to be able to connect with us, right? Yeah. Some people, they go for walks, right? And there's others, and I've done some smatterings of all of these. Okay. Walk out on a hiking trail, out in the woods, can be such a quieting experience. It's grounding. That is for certain. And and it's not the power walk, right? It's not getting your heart rate up and getting from point A to point B. This one is really taking a meandering kind of walk, where you are really taking a look at nature around you, looking at the trees, listening to the birds, watching the water. So there's a quietness around it, right? That's another form of meditation. I guess one of the things I want to make sure, and I think I've made my point pretty clear, is that any kind of form of activity where your mental mind is quieter, right? In my cultural tradition, Native American, Ho-Chunk and Potawatomi, one of the things that our elders talk to us about is having a quiet mind, being able to go into the quiet, to be able to sit in the silence, right? Yeah, it takes some self-discipline to do that. Yes, it does. And when I say that, I know some people are going, "Oh my God, no, I wouldn't do that," you know. But there is a portion of us that were meant on this journey called an earth walk is to master, if you will, if you want to use that word, to master our mind, our thoughts, and our emotions so that we have a balance. We have a balance between our thoughts and our emotions. So we're literally living, experiencing our life from our high heart. It's that balance, right? And so if you live a very busy life, and you're constantly on the go, used to be constantly on the go, you need that balance, that time where you are in the quiet and you are mastering your thoughts, right? And I know some people say that when they're in meditation, and they can't, their thoughts, it's they go from bounce from one thought to another, right? And I'm sure you heard this one, the monkey mind, right? Yeah. And so it does take some, if you're going to do that, to sit in meditation, it does take some practice to master your thoughts. So every time you find your mind drifting to or thinking about something that makes you bring up triggers for you, sometimes that can be good, but you have to be able to call yourself back to the moment. And some people say, it's in the breath, to take that deep breath or to turn your thoughts to your breath. I have a friend of mine, what they do is they use counting. They bring their mind back to the present by counting. Um, and so it does take some form of self-discipline, even if it's to be able to just to get into meditation, right? I've been meditating for a really long time. I was thinking about that today, trying to think, when did I consciously make it a daily or nearly everyday experience? And that started back in 2001. Okay, so that's 20 years. But before that, my meditation wasn't necessarily always consciously done. It started when I was a kid. My mom, we'd be playing outside, and if a verbal fight or a physical fight broke out amongst us kids, me and my brothers, um, she would, come outside and she'd break it up and she'd make us sit on the ground, backs to each other at some distance, so we couldn't talk. If we were going to talk, you'd literally had to raise your voice to be heard, with our backs to each other, and she'd make us sit there quietly until she came to get us. Right. And so sometimes it'd start out with the verbal back and forth. And then she'd come out and she goes, "Yeah, I told you to be quiet," and so then eventually we would quiet down and we'd be sitting there listening to nature around us and calming down, really. So, that self-discipline started at a really young age, and how my mom used to do that for us. I didn't think that was meditation until I was talking to a good friend of mine decades later, decades later, and sharing that story with him. And he said that's a form of meditation, and so, and I know some people would say prayer would be meditation, and it can be, here. here's a different a definition that you might recognize is that prayer and meditation is like a conversation, right? In a conversation, one person or one being is speaking and the other is listening. And then eventually what happens is that you reverse roles, right? The one that was listening is now speaking, and the one that was speaking is now listening. And so meditation and prayer for me kind of go hand in hand. It's a divine conversation. Divine conversation. So, we might be saying our prayers and making those requests and those kinds of things. And then we listen. And that's the meditation part. And so if you're constantly talking, even if it's only in your mind, in your head, you're not listening to what's being said to you or shown to you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Does that make sense? Did to me when I finally dawned on me, that light bulb moment. All right, I'm going to get caught up with you guys here. Karen is saying my mornings of quiet before my husband wakes up is perfect for me. Yes, mine's in the afternoon. Morning time for me is yeah, it's changed a lot. It used to be morning, but mine has shifted to the afternoon. And Tabitha, she says, I don't meditate regularly. I struggle with meditating regularly in any form. My time management is crappy right now. I hear you. I do, Tabitha, because I've been there. It got to the point when I was taking care of mom and running Star Nations that my meditation time used to be like a half an hour. Went from an hour to half an hour to 20 minutes to 10 minutes. And then it got to 5 minutes. And sometimes my meditation time was literally standing at the window with my coffee or my tea and just taking a couple deep breaths and just watching the wind or, with the leaves and those kinds of things. And it was just moments. And so I understand what you're saying, Tabitha, because I've been there. Rob says running was excellent until I messed up my legs. It's not good on your body. Well, running isn't, no. But if you are the kind of person who is more kinetic, that the movement kind of thing, it can be good to do the walking, to do some sort of movement with it. Even if it's walking on a treadmill. It's about, again, it's about the self-discipline, I think. All right. And he says, but there's nothing like a runner's high. I agree. When I used to run, when I was much, much younger, when I was doing powwow competition dancing, I used to run for the stamina and the endurance, right? And it wasn't long distance. I would run anywhere between 1 mile to 2 miles every day. And and it was toward that end of the run that you just feel great. There's nothing like that kind of endorphin high, right? Yeah. Except the thing is that when we're talking about meditation, the endorphin high isn't the intention, right? It's not the intention. Yeah. Yeah, Rob's saying now meditation is mostly the sacred grove ritual. Yeah, and the thing is that if you can take what we're calling meditation and couple it or blend it with something that has a deep meaning for you, the chances are of you actually doing the meditation increases, right? And so it's kind of like a reward in a way. And I think that's why ritual does something for us as in our human minds, in that ancient part of us that recognizes the ritual and the sacredness. And so our mind says, oh, something important's happening here. And so it's in that preparation, right? And so even if it's just lighting the candle, or if you're one of those people that need the movement, it's maybe it's grabbing your walking stick or staff or putting on your special walking shoes kind of thing, and you're doing it in a very conscious, ritualistic kind of way. And so you're kind of bringing together elements of something that has deeper meaning to you. And it's very helpful. It is. And it helps with that self-discipline part. Yeah. Julie is saying, I don't have a regular meditation time, too many distractions like work and people. Yeah, that's true. But we're going to talk about that in just a second, Julie, about why it's important to carve out some sort of time for yourself with that in just a second. Julie says, I also don't have a quiet space in which to meditate. I'd like to do a walking meditation. Yeah, give it a whirl. Give it a try. Even if it's just not even a 10-minute walk. It's all about quieting the mind. And if you can, pun intended, wrap your mental mind around the fact that this is about mastery. It's about mastery. It's about mastering your mental mind so that you can say, okay, now is the time that we're going to take the lid off and you get to do whatever it is that you need to do in that mental process, right? There's a time and a place for it when it's really important and it's enjoyable. And then there's other times when we need the quiet. We need that to slow down and to be in that quietness. And what I'm talking about is really tuning in to either nature or listening, if you're clairaudient, right? Clairvoyant, to be able to really pay attention to the information that's coming to you from your spiritual team. That's the important part. Look who's in the house. Cindy's in the house. Hello, Cindy. She says, I've been making sure if I am doing anything, I will not do anything else. Can't look at my phone or anything else. Right. Absolutely. Okay, here's this. Before I had a designated room for my meditation, sometimes my meditations happened now it helps when we don't have kids. Okay, I know that's a fact. When you have kids, it's kind of hard. But when you can find a quiet place at a quiet time during the day or evening and make it your special chair or your special corner to sit in, right? Yeah. I've actually done meditations in closets. Close the door. Yes. And it wasn't in a walk-in closet either. And I know, there could be a lot of jokes about that one, but it's helpful. It's helpful to close out the stimulation of all kinds, right? Yeah. And Rochelle says, I don't have a regular time that I meditate. When I walk on my property, I feel in tune with nature, looking at the branch of the trees and seeing the details of each branch. I feel close to my river too. Yes. In fact, when you're sitting, because I know you have a special place to sit to watch your river, right? It's just to watch the water flow and in that quietness. And if your mind isn't bouncing all over to different thoughts and that kind of thing, you are in meditation. And even if your mind is bouncing, bring it back to the river. Bring it back to the river, right? So that's a good one. Thank you, Rochelle. And Rob is saying, walking the Polly Ann Trail, listening to King Crimson has therapeutic value. Therapeutic, yeah. Hey, Jacqueline's in the house. Hello, Jacqueline. Good to have you here, lady. And Rob's also saying, I've never experienced stage 2 runner's high. I only ran a half marathon. Stage 1 is still good. Wildflowers glow and the colors jump at you. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to bounce back to Julie's statement about not having, a regular time because she doesn't have the place to do that, right? And part of it has to do with that discipline piece. It does. When you make the decision that meditation for you is important and the reasons for it All right, not just meditation, but the reasons behind the meditation, whether it's really embracing your experience with the balance, right? The balance between your mind and your emotions, the balance between active and quiet, and being in the unified field in your heart, your soul, okay, in the unified field. Whatever that is that it has to be important to you. And so that you can commit to it. You can say to yourself, I am going to do this. I am doing this. I am meditating. I am walking. I am whatever you're using to quiet the mind, that is a commitment. And even if it's only for 5 minutes, yeah, it's helpful. Because eventually, one day, you'll be sitting longer or doing whatever that is longer because you can. Kind of reminds me of every morning. This is why my mornings are different now than what they used to be. And so that's why I'm meditating in the afternoon, is that in the mornings, starting this week, I had already been doing this, but this week there's more schedule around it, where I'm actually setting my alarm to get up at 7:30. I went 4 months without setting an alarm, just to get a reserve of energy, right? And so this week I'm setting my alarm for 7:30. I come downstairs and take my first glass of water. I do my glucose testing. I take my Jardiance for my diabetes. And then I come down here and I do stretching. I bought a DVD for just gentle stretching. Okay. And there's a couple of different variances to it. And so I found one of them on the DVD that I really like a lot. And it's because I used to be limber. And I found I wasn't limber anymore. And so we got to fix that, right? So with the stretching, one of the things that I noticed is that when I first started, my stretching wasn't very far at all. And I noticed today that when I was doing the hamstring stretches, is that I was actually going a lot further than when I first started 6 weeks ago. And so meditation is kind of like that. You're going to, when you first start out and you make the decision that I'm doing this, this is for my highest and best good that I do this. And so when you make that decision, when you first start out, it might not be able to sit for 30 minutes or walk for 30 minutes, right? It might be only for 5 or 10 minutes. And even in that, you might be finding yourself, your mind drifting and thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff where you're pulling yourself back into the moment, right? But you got to start somewhere. And eventually you're going to be able to be in that space for a longer period of time. Yeah. The intention is for me is about the balance between the mental mind and the emotions in the heart. That's my intention. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, oh my God, Andrew. Hello, Andrew. Good to have you here with us. He says, hi, Neshi. I feel like when I'm in the zone with my cooking or music, it is meditative. Yes, it is. Absolutely, it is. Sometimes, when, especially music, when we are, we kind of we're not paying attention to the stimulation around us. We're into the music, we're into the rhythm, we're into the beat, whatever it is, it takes care of the monkey mind. you're able to, your soul is able to do the expression, is able to bring in the information that your spiritual team has been trying to get to you to pay attention to, right? Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree, Andrew. Totally agree. Yeah, and with the cooking part, that it's the repetition. For me, I know this is going to sound kind of silly, but I've gotten the best spiritual information, psychic hits from my spiritual team when I'm doing mundane things like doing dishes by hand, vacuum cleaning, dusting, all those things that we kind of say, oh, I got to do it. But in the mundane, my mental mind is busy with whatever this is. And I can actually pay attention to what is being shared with me by my spiritual team. These days, it is coming through automatic writing and meditation. And so, and I've shared with you guys many times about my meditation room. And one of these days, I think what I'll do is actually live stream from there and give you guys the kind of the lay of the land there. I've done meditations with you guys in there. Was that last spring, when the pandemic was first, yeah. And and we were doing morning meditations together. That's the room that I meditate in. That's the medicine room. Yes. But when I meditate in the dark. And I also have, because of the classes that I've taught through for Awakening Illuminated Heart, which I call Journey to Remembering, we do have masks. They're mindfold masks that cover your eyes. You can actually open your eyes in there, but you're not going to see anything. It's because it's dark. And so the darkness takes away all of the outside stimulation, everything that our physical eyes see and spend time with, because you can't see it. My room is so dark; it doesn't have any windows. My room is so dark that you can't see your hand in front of you. It's one of those rooms that you don't know if your eyes are open or shut. That's how dark it is. And so that room has really been a very different kind of experience with meditation. And I know a lot of people they don't have the space for that, or they don't have the ability for that kind of meditation room. But if you ever have a chance to experience that kind of meditation, yeah, take it. And it does bring up stuff, though. It does. Things that you may have not wanted to address or to acknowledge, being afraid of the dark. Other traumas that might have happened in darkened areas, and you haven't faced those fears. You haven't healed the trauma. And so it does bring up stuff, for sure. It will. But eventually what happens is that it becomes a space that is comforting. It's quiet. And as a triple fire, it was a gift that I didn't know I needed. Because I thought I was just meditating. I was doing fine with my meditations, my meditative time. I was doing fine with it until I had that experience. And it's like, oh my goodness, this is what it's like to be in real stillness, real quiet. Yeah. But if you have a chance, I would give it a whirl. I would highly suggest it. Rob is saying, listen to Dance Number 4 by Philip Glass that carries the key and musical knowledge to what Neshi is talking about. Ooh, Philip Glass. All right, we're going to have to, is it on YouTube? Because I could YouTube it pretty easy. So one of the things I'd like you to consider when you're talking about meditation and the decision to either shift your meditation so that it can be more of a helpful tool for you in your reimagining or reinventing or recalibration, is to consider that as a very helpful tool. And with that, a lot of this is kind of dovetailed together. Everything is interconnected, correct? All right. So our meditations, if you will, is kind of like a gateway, a portal to that mastery, of our mental mind and our emotions. And so that we are experiencing much more of our lives and ourselves from that higher vibrational state of the high heart. In meditation the other day for me, this is what came through, and that was the middle path. The middle path. It's a well-known phrase, right? The middle path. And that is the balance between the mental mind and the heart. It's the middle path between active, inactive. You've heard me say the magic is in the betwixt and the between. That's the middle path. Okay. The middle path is about that unified field where we are standing or experiencing outside of polarity. Okay. And for me, that means there's another phrase, and you guys are going to be hearing a lot more about this in the future, is the path of CSHAT. Now, I learned that years and years ago. I think it was maybe 15, 16 years ago, the path of CSHAT. And CSHAT is an Egyptian goddess. She is actually the consort or the wife of Thoth, the Egyptian god Thoth. She is known as the Lady of the Library. She is the first scribe. And so, and one of the things that she brings to us as humanity is the middle path. And I learned about all of that years ago. And I'm going to be sharing that more with you in upcoming shows about the middle path and about CSHAT. So, yeah. So everything is interconnected. So if you're interested in experiencing your life in a different way, in that recalibration, you might want to consider how your meditations are a tool to be able for you to get clarity, to ask for the next best step. Show that to me. Tell that to me. I used to do this all the time. In my, I would be talking to my team, and I would be saying, okay, if I want to do X, Y, or Z, and that's my decision, is that for my highest good? And I would get a yes or a no. And if it's for my highest good, what is my next best step to reach that destination? Right. And so, and we're always given information, but we are the ones making the choice. Right. And it's in the choice that's the journey. That is the important piece. The destination isn't necessarily the highest priority or importance. It's really what we learn in the journey to get there. And so I was always asking, what's my next best step? What is going to help me with my soul growth in a very blessed way? Not so much the easiest, because sometimes the easiest would end up being maybe the most difficult in either emotions or yeah, too much drama. And so what is the next best step? Yeah, but that's your choice. That's our choice. Individually, that is our choice in how we are going to use this tool, this spiritual tool that we call meditation. And I've chosen to use this tool in meditation it started out in this recalibration journey as a quiet place, a place of stillness, because I needed that. My emotional, my physical, my mental bodies needed that stillness because of all the experiences that Paul and I have had with our moms and all of that and all the big changes. I needed the quietness. And so to be able to go and sit in my meditation room in the dark by myself and in the quietness, and I go into bringing love to my heart for Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky. And so I bring myself to consciously to that frequency of love. And then I call in my spiritual team because they're here with me all the time, but I'm turning my conscious mind to them and saying, please come sit with me. Come sit with me in the stillness and in the quiet. And they were still and they were quiet up until, I don't know, probably 2 months ago, something like that. And so, yeah, that's how I'm using it. But your experience is your decision. And if you're not going to use meditation, my suggestion is to find some other method, some other tool to be able to help you to remember how to be in the middle path, to be in that balance between the mental mind and the emotions, whatever that is for you. That's the most important part because that's going to help you loads in this next piece, this next journey steps that we're taking together. You know, out there in the world, things are so different than what they were a year ago, 2 years ago, right? There are so many shifts that have occurred due to the pandemic, but more than that, there are so many shifts that have happened in the environment, right? There are so many shifts that have happened politically, within religion. There's lots of stuff going on out there, and in order for us to be in our best, to be in our most, I don't know, how is this going to be phrased? Our most optimal self in order to weather all of that. Yeah, balance. And so this is a gift that we can bring to ourselves consciously, and it does take that self-discipline. It does. Yeah. It's one of the tools that I think is going to be very useful as we move forward as humanity globally. And eventually, when we're on the other side of the pandemic, when we are in those, possibly, when the energy starts to wane, and it's still kind of here. It's kind of like when the moon changes, we have the waxing and the waning. When it's in that waning and we're on the other side of that, I do believe that how we keep our balance, how we're grounded, how we are recognizing the connection between all things, it's going to be really important. Really, really important. So using the tools is a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay. I got a couple things for you guys. I know it's 1:45. If you have any questions about that, or if you want to share anything about your experiences with meditation and using it as a tool for your recalibration, your reimaging or eventing, please put it in the comments, because we learn so much from each other. And in this community, Star Nation's a community, we help each other a lot. We really do. And so if you have some tidbit that has worked for you, please go ahead and share it. And I'm sure it'd be helpful to someone else. Okay, so as I was prepping for this show, I was thinking about the back issues of the magazine, Star Nation's magazine. We have so much rich depth in the information that we have in those back issues that I wanted to share a couple of them with you, in the event that you would be interested in reading more about it or seeing it from one of the contributing writers' perspectives. And so it's really kind of helpful. And before I forget, though, because I start talking and I forget to do things. All right, so I'm going to give you the link for it. Now, I'm giving you the link to our partners at MagCloud. Because MagCloud, our partners at MagCloud, they offer the magazine, those back issues. It won't let me make the change here. Oh, there we go. They offer the magazine in PDF and digital, web viewer, and print on demand. Now, the digital is probably the easiest to do, and the magazines are $2.99. Okay, so they're pretty reasonable. You do have to download MagCloud's free app for your phone or tablet or your desktop, but it's free. So there's the link, but I'm going to show you guys 3 different issues that I thought would be helpful. Okay, so this one, oops, I'm going to take down there we go. Get that out of the way. All right, so this is the May issue of 2018, issue 60. In this particular one, you have a couple of different things about meditation. Ortrun has the bonus meditation, the process of going within. Now, if you've never experienced one of her meditations, you're in for a treat, because her voice is so good with meditations. And the acceptance and compassion through the heart is another good one. And there's other articles within each one of these issues that have other articles about meditation as well. They're just not on the front cover. So that's May 2018, issue 60. Okay. And the next one is, this one is June 2020. And that's issue 85. Don't you love that cover? Oh my God. This particular picture was taken by, he's a friend, but he's also family. Danny, Dan is a professional photographer out in Washington State. And he takes all kinds of pictures, and he does this series of fairy pictures of people who are in dress, right, to look like a fairy. And so I love this cover. All right, so anyway, changing world healing meditation, that's a good one. Forgiveness is big medicine. We talk about forgiveness and how going into the tiny space of the heart for the forgiveness. And I thought you guys might find that interesting. Okay. And the next one is, this one is August 2016, issue 37. Seen through the eyes of magic, cultivating intuition. Yep. And okay. And so in this one, Orchard actually has a meditation about connecting the third eye. That's about clairvoyance, but it also is a meditation and how you can be in meditation to activate that. And so I selected these three because they each have somewhat different kinds of meditation or talking about meditation. Okay. All right. So I hope those are helpful to you guys. Yeah, it's always good. All right. I want to see what Karen's saying here. She is saying, yeah, so many shifts that have been a punch to our awareness. I've really found that feeling my connection to God or goddess energy is what settles any stressors that may come up and allows me that moment to find an appropriate reaction to whatever the situation. Again, absolutely true. True, Karen. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's in that balance. It's in the and all the work that we've done. And I'm saying we because we have all done a lot of our own healing over the years, right? That it's no longer practicing, that we're actually applying the information, the knowledge that we've gained through life lessons, right? And when we in that application that we do of that knowledge becomes wisdom, becomes our wisdom. And so, Karen, thank you so much for sharing that because it is about the feeling of the connection, right? It is about recognizing that this emotion or this feeling that I have when I'm upset compared to when I am when I feel my connection to God or goddess. Yeah. And, and the thing is that that's an awareness. That's a conscious awareness. That's being awake. It's being awake. Thank you for sharing that. Look who's in the house with my sister, Mimi. Kate, she's here. Thank you, Kate, for joining us. And thank you, Rob. Rob has given us the YouTube for that music that he said by Philip Glass, Dance Number 4. I'm going to listen to that after the show. Thank you, Rob. It's a good one. Okay. Let's see. One of the other things I wanted to share with you guys is that this is going to sound kind of funny. The Star Nations, much of Star Nations is on pause. And because I'm going through this recalibration of me, right? And also, it gave us space, Paul and I space to do our grief and mourning work, our moms. And so, yeah, and so we're going to be taking most of the summer anyway, because we have an RV that we haven't even really used. And so we're going to be doing that. But in the meantime, there's a couple of things that I'm going to be doing because I have 2 classes that I had to either postpone or reschedule because of mom and because of COVID, right? So I have 2 things coming up. And we just kind of settled on one of them yesterday. I have a drum making workshop that was scheduled last year, then rescheduled, and then rescheduled to June 12th of this year of 2021. We were going to be holding it in Michigan, but because there's some things going on in Lori's family that's really taken top priority. Her daughter really needs Lori. And so what we're going to do is we're going to move the location of the drum making workshop to Star Nations Academy here in Tomah, Wisconsin on June 12th. I'll be sending out more information about that. It's going to be a very small class. I usually have maximum 14 people. But I think that with this particular class, we're going to have a much smaller class, probably a max of 6 people. So if you're interested in that, I'll have all the registration and how you can contact me with that. And changes on our website should be coming up within the week or so. Okay. So that's the weekend of June 12th. And what's coming up also in June, which just got kind of settled on Sunday, Easter Sunday. I wasn't working Easter Sunday. I was working raking leaves. And this is what came to me from spirit, from my spiritual team. And that was, I had to postpone a class called Journey to Remembering. It was a Zoom class. And yeah, because of mom, I couldn't really be attentive to it. And so Karen and Rob had been waiting for me to announce, what are we going to do with this class? And so, yeah, the decision, and I'm going to put something out about this too, is that it's actually going to be an in-person class. I know. So, the in-person class, Journey to Remembering, is going to be the third weekend in June. And that date, let me get my calendar up here. June. So that would be, it's going to be a 4-day class, June 17th through June 20th. June 17th through June 20th. And again, it's going to be a small class. It's only because I want to make sure that my physical energy is going to be in a good place to carry it, right? And so rather, because that class, when I have it in person, many times we have up to 15 to 25 people in that class. But with this one, it's going to be small. It's going to be between 6 to 8 people, and it's going to be very, yeah, intimate. And so, if you're interested in that, you will have the information for class information and registration. And if you ever have any questions about any one of those classes, you can just private message me here at Facebook, and we can connect and I can answer your questions about that. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you guys can join us for one of those 2 classes. I know that there's been a few people just waiting for to be able to birth their sacred drum. And so I'm so glad that we're going to be able to offer that in person here at Toma, Wisconsin. Yeah. All right. Now, I hope that the information tonight about meditation and the definition of meditation helps you to determine for yourself, make that decision for yourself if you're going to use meditation as a tool for your reinventing, reimaging, recalibrating your personal and business life like I am. And I hope that the conversation was helpful. Helps you to discern for yourself what's in your best and highest good. Okay. All right. So, with that, please enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening, and we'll see you back here next week for communications from home. And next week, we're going to be talking about using card draws, drawing tarot cards, or yeah, cards. Oh my gosh. You can tell I am losing my vocabulary. All right. So next week's topic is about using card drawing for a tool for your recalibration journey. And I've got a couple stories to share about that that occurred to me during my journey, and how the drawing of cards were insightful. And it was like, I wouldn't have thought of that. I would not have, my mental mind would not have thought of that. And so that's next week's show. And also on the 27th, the last Tuesday of April, I'm going to have a guest with me. And I hope you guys can join us, because you haven't seen her in a while. And that is Julie Hedges is going to be joining me for Communications from Home, because the topic is about the use of astrology, specifically your moon sign, in your recalibration journey. And so I hope you guys can join me for that. That's on Tuesday, April 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so I'll see you next week for Communications from Home. And the topic is using card drawing for your recalibration journey. So with that, Bama Mina. That means until we see each other again. I love you guys.